Hare Krishna, Chandan Prabhu, it's only you and me today. You can go ahead with invocation prayers.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Om Manjana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vande Ham Sri Guru Sri Yutapata Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnav Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsa Jivam. Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhaya Ivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. Yesterday, Friday, Toronto morning time, my god brother, our dear Krishna Ganga Prabhu, left his body. So some of you would know, Sridhar Prabhu would probably definitely remember him. My spiritual master sent a message to all of us for the disappearance of Krishna Ganga Prabhu. So I'm going to read my spiritual master's message. Krishna Ganga was loved by all devotees in Toronto, as he was as sweet as can be, and he was fixed in his service and sadhana. Dear Srila Prabhupada, Shishi Gaur Nitai, Shishi Radha Kirchur, Gopinath, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani. If you so desire, please keep our dear Krishna Gangadas close to your lotus feet in your divine service. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. We are saddened and will miss him dearly. We are joyful, however, remembering that he used his rare human life in service to the Lord and his devotees. Devotees also made a small video clip I will play right now. So you will remember that Krishna Ganga Prabhu was fixed in his service at the reception. Many of you from Toronto would remember seeing him. He is always present at the reception during the COVID time, when nobody was going to the temple at such an advanced age. He was still taking public transit and going to the temple for services every single day. This is dedication. I request all of you, if you can please unmute and we all can chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra one time for Krishna Ganga Prabhu. Everybody can unmute, please. Sridhar Prabhu, you're able to unmute. All right, everybody will chant one Hare Krishna together. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
All right, so we will continue Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, verse 17 onwards, and we'll aim to finish this chapter today. Let's first finish the chapter and then we can use the remainder of the time to answer the questions, the spiritual endeavor questions that you had first. So the context and the recap of where we are is that Lord Vishnu appeared with Indra at the sacrifice of Prithu Maharaj. And the first instruction is to forgive Indra, stating that an intelligent devotee does not take action against soul or body. If there is any discrepancy, the devotee forgives. Forgiveness is a quality of those who are advancing in spiritual knowledge. An advanced devotee is never malicious to others and is always conscious that this material body is different from the soul. The verses we covered last time described that how jnana of the body, of soul, of super soul leads one to bhakti. Jiva can be free from birth and death simply by being indifferent to body and senses while supervising the body and senses, just as a businessman traveling in a car knows everything about the car, but he is still focused on his business. Similarly, soul can focus on remembering Krishna while in the body. The real duty of king and why king should protect citizens is described that if king protects the citizens, the king gets 1/6 of the piety of citizens. Or if the king does not protect the citizens will take king's piety and king suffers the sins of the citizens. So we are on verse 17. So part 2 is verses 17 to 22. Title is Lord's Affectionate Dealings with Prithu Maharaj. The verses are straightforward. Is our dear Aditi able to read 17 to 22 translations?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Sloka 17 translation. The great saint Maitreya continued, My dear Vidra, in this way Maharaja Prithu, the conqueror of the entire world, accepted the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead on his head. Translation. As King Indra was standing by, he became ashamed of his own activities and fell down before King Prithu to touch his lotus feet. But Prithu Maharaja immediately embraced him in great ecstasy and gave up all envy against him for his having stolen the horse meant for the sacrifice. King Prithu abundantly worshipped the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was so merciful to him. While worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord, Prithu Maharaja gradually increased his ecstasy in devotional service. The Lord was just about to leave, but because he was so greatly inclined toward the behavior of King Prithu, he did not depart. Seeing the behavior of Maharaja Prithu with his lotus eyes, he was detained because he is always the well-wisher of his devotees. Hare Krishna.
Up to 21.
Yes, Prabhuji. The original king, Maharaja Prithu, his eyes full of tears and his voice faltering and choked up, could neither see the Lord very distinctly nor speak to address the Lord in any way. He simply embraced the Lord within his heart and remained standing in that way with folded hands.
Yeah, read 22 also.
Yes, Prabhuji. The Supreme Personality of Godhead stood with his lotus feet almost touching the ground while he rested the front of his hand on the raised shoulder of Garuda, the enemy of the snakes. Maharaja Prithu, wiping the tears from his eyes, tried to look upon the Lord, but it appeared that the king was not fully satisfied by looking at him. Thus the king offered the following prayers.
So these are straightforward verses about the Lord's affectionate dealings with Prithu Maharaj, that Lord was pleased with the character and behavior, and he was about to leave, but he still stayed for his affectionate dealings. And Prithu Maharaj is also not satisfied, and therefore he now starts offering prayers from next verse onwards. So related to Indra's offense, verse number 18 purport describes that the offender should fall at the lotus feet of the offended Vaishnava, be repentant, and ask for forgiveness and ask for menial service. Because Prithu Maharaj and Indra being Krishna conscious, such rivalry, competition, and envy can be adjusted without any difficulty. So now from verse number 23 onwards are the prayers of Prithu Maharaj. So this is part 3, verses 23 to 31, prayers of Prithu Maharaj. So we'll read each prayer and we'll highlight key points in each of them. Chandran Prabhu, verse 23 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 23 translation. My dear Lord, you are the best of the demigods who can offer benedictions. Why, therefore, should any learned person ask you for benedictions meant for living entities bewildered by the modes of nature? Such benedictions are available automatically, even in the lives of living entities suffering in hellish conditions. My dear Lord, you can certainly bestow, merging into your existence, but I do not wish to have such a benediction. Purport,
So
Prabhuji?
in the purport, Prabhupada explains that Lord is known as Kaivalyapati, means Lord of benediction. But Prithu Maharaj clarified that he does not want Kaivalya. Prithu Maharaj does not want to merge with Brahman effulgence. Therefore he says, how can a learned person ask for a benediction meant for those bewildered by material modes? So then, what benediction Prithu Maharaj asks is in verse number 24. So we discussed this benediction previously. Kalyani, able to read 24 translation, or Sridhar Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Text 24 translation. My dear Lord, I therefore do not wish to have the benediction of merging into your existence, a benediction in which there is no existence of the nectarian beverage of your lotus feet. I want the benediction of at least 1,000,000 years, for thus I may be able to hear about the glories of your lotus feet from the mouths of your pure devotees. Hare Krishna.
So he says, I do not want benediction to merge because there is no service. Rather, Prithu Maharaj wants million years to hear Lord's glories from pure devotees. I mean, 2 years are not enough. He wants million years. So Prithu Maharaj wanted million years because there are unlimited talks on Lord's glories, and he wanted to hear them all. So question is, why does he want to hear? Answer is because hearing restores one's relationship with the Lord. I will read verse number 25 translation. 25. My dear Lord, you are glorified by the selected verses uttered by great personalities. Such glorification of your lotus feet is just like saffron particles. When the transcendental vibration from the mouths of great devotees carries the aroma of the saffron dust of your lotus feet, the forgetful living entity gradually remembers his eternal relationship with you. Devotees thus gradually come to the right conclusion about the value of life. My dear Lord, I therefore do not need any other benediction but the opportunity to hear from the mouth of your pure devotee. So, the transcendental vibrations coming from pure devotees carry the aroma of the dust of Lord's lotus feet. By such hearing, the forgetful living entities remember their eternal relationship with the Lord. Therefore, any other benedictions are not necessary. In the purport, analogy is given that we have forgotten our eternal relationship with the Lord, exactly like a man sleeping very deeply forgets his duties. In a song sung by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. So the Lord asks every sleeping living entity to get up and engage in devotional service so that his mission in his human form of life may be fulfilled. So this awakening voice comes from the mouth of a pure devotee. A pure devotee always engages in service of the Lord, taking shelter of his lotus feet, and therefore he has a direct connection with the saffron mercy particles that are strewn over the lotus feet of the Lord. So when a pure devotee speaks, the articulation of his voice may resemble sound of this material world, but actually the voice is spiritually very powerful because it touches the particles of saffron dust on the lotus feet of the Lord. Questions, comments, realization so far? Aditi can read verse 26 translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. What's verse 26 translation? My dear highly glorified Lord, if one in the association of pure devotees hears even once the glories of your activities, he does not, unless he is nothing but an animal, give up the association of devotees, for no intelligent person would be so careless as to leave their association. The perfection of chanting and hearing about your glories was accepted even by the goddess of fortune, who desired to hear of your unlimited activities and transcendent glories.
A straightforward verse that only animal can give up hearing the glories of the Lord. So now Prithu Maharaj desires to serve Lord's lotus feet, which is bound to result a quarrel between Prithu Maharaj and Lakshmi Devi. Chandran Prabhu, 27-28 translation.
Hare Krishna. Translation 27. Now I wish to engage in the service of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and to serve just like the goddess of Pacho, who carries a lotus flower in her hand, because His Lordship, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the reservoir of all transcendental qualities. I am afraid that the goddess of fortune and I would quarrel because both of us would be attentively engaged in the same service. Translation 28. My dear Lord of the universe, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is the mother of the universe, and yet I think that she may be angry with me because of my intruding upon her service and acting on that very platform to which she is so much attached. Yet I am hopeful that even though there is some misunderstanding, you will take my part, for you are very much inclined to the poor, and you always magnify even insignificant service unto you. Therefore, even though she becomes angry, I think that there is no harm for you, because you are so self-sufficient that you can do without her. Hare Krishna.
So in verse number 27 purport, Prabhupada explains that there is no competition between Lakshmi Devi and Prithu Maharaj, because Lakshmi Devi is on the platform of Madhurya Rasa, while Prithu Maharaj is on the platform of Dasya Rasa. And that in the spiritual world, there is competition between servitors, but there is no malicious intent. Chandran Prabhu, verse 27 purport, last paragraph, which starts, Prithu Maharaj desired to serve the Lord.
Hare Krishna. Prithu Maharaja desired to serve the Lord with the goddess of Pacho. But this desire does not mean that he was situated on the platform of Madhurya Rasa. The goddess of fortune is engaged in the service of the Lord in the rasa of Madhurya conjugal love. Although her position is on the chest of the Lord, the goddess of fortune, in her position as a devotee, takes pleasure in serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Prithu Maharaja was thinking only of the lotus feet of the Lord because he is on the platform of Dasya Rasa, or servitorship of the Lord. From the next verse, we learn that Prithu Maharaja was thinking of the goddess of fortune as the universal mother, Jagan Mata. Consequently, there was no question of his competing with her on the platform of Madhurya Rasa. Nonetheless, he feared that she might take offense at his engaging in the service of the Lord. This suggests that in the absolute world, there is something competition between servitors in the service of the Lord, but such competition is without malice. In the Vaikuntha worlds, if a devotee excels in the service of the Lord, others do not become envious of his excellent service, but rather aspire to come to the platform of that service. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations? So we read the last line that in Vaikuntha, if a devotee excels in service of the Lord, the other devotee do not become envious of his excellent service. Rather, the other devotee aspires to come to that platform of service by serving this devotee who is already excelling in the service of the Lord. Questions, comments, realizations? So, why Prithu Maharaj is asking to serve the Lord is because all devotees request this benediction of service. Mother Jija, chapter 20, verse number 29, translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 29. This is confirmed not only by the evidence of the Vedas, but also by the personal behavior of great personalities like Manu, Uttanapada, Dhruva, Priyavrata, and my grandfather Anga, as well
20.
as
Mother Jija, chapter 20, verse 29.
text 29. Great saintly persons who are always liberated, take to your devotional service, because only by devotional service can one be relieved from the illusions of material existence. O my Lord, there is no reason for the liberated soul to take shelter of your lotus feet, except that such souls are constantly thinking of your feet. Hare Krishna.
So Prithu Maharaj now says that Lord asking to ask for benedictions and simultaneously allurements the Lord offers in Vedas. This is bewildering. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj says, Lord, you kindly bestow whatever you think is best for me. Mother Jija, verse 30 and 31 translations. Unmute, Mother Jija. 30, 31.
Text 30. My dear Lord, what you have said to your unalloyed devotee is certainly very much bewildering. The allurements you offer is in the Vedas are certainly not suitable for pure devotees. People in general, bound by the sweet words of the Vedas, engage themselves again and again in fruitive activities and moved by the results of their actions. Text 31. My Lord, due to your illusionary energy, all living beings in this material world have forgotten their real constitutional position, and out of ignorance, they are always desirous of material happiness in the form of society, friendship, and love. Therefore, please do not ask me to take some material benefits from you. But as a father, not wanting for the son's demand, does everything for the benefit of the son, please bestow upon me whatever you think best for me. Hare Krishna.
So, Prithu Maharaj says you bestow what is best for me. And in the next verse, we'll soon read that because Prithu Maharaj requested for the most beneficial thing, therefore the Lord awarded bhakti. Meaning, conclusion is bhakti is the most beneficial. So these last set of verses is part 4, verses 32 to 38. Title is Lord leaves after offering his benediction. Chandan Prabhu, 32-33 translation.
Hare Krishna. Translation 32. The great sage Maitreya continued by saying that the Lord, the sayer of the universe, after hearing Prithu Maharaja's prayer, addressed the king, my dear king, may you always be blessed by engaging in my devotional service. Only by such purity of purpose, as you yourself very intelligently express, can one cross over the insurmountable illusory energy of Maya. Text 33. My dear king, O protector of the citizens, henceforward be very careful to execute my orders and not be misled by anything. Anyone who lives in that way, simply carrying out my orders faithfully, will always find good fortune all over the world.
So straightforward verses. Lord says, do bhakti and protect the citizens. So in the next verse, Lord appreciates the meaningful prayer of Prithu Maharaj. Sridhar Prabhu, 34 translation and paragraph number 1.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. The great saint Maitreya told Vidura, the Supreme Personality of Godhead amply appreciated the meaningful prayers of Maharaj Prithu. Thus, after being properly worshipped by the king, the Lord blessed him and decided to depart. Purport. Most important in this verse are the words Prati Nandyarthavad Vachaha, which indicate that the Lord appreciated the very meaningful prayers of the king. When a devotee prays to the Lord, it is not to ask for material benefits, but to ask the Lord for his favor. He prays that he may be engaged in the service of the Lord's lotus feet, birth after birth. Lord Chaitanya therefore uses the words Mama Janmani Janmani, which means birth after birth, because a devotee is not even interested in stopping the repetition of birth. The Lord and the devotee appear in this material world birth after birth. But such births are transcendental. In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord informed Arjuna that both he and Arjuna had undergone many births previously. But the Lord remembered everything about them, whereas Arjuna had forgotten. The Lord and his confidential devotees appear many times to fulfill the Lord's mission. But since such births are transcendental, they are not accompanied by the miserable conditions of material birth, and they are therefore called Divya, transcendental. Hare Krishna.
So the Lord appreciated the meaningful prayers of Prithu Maharaj. The last verses are straightforward. Mother Jija, 35 to 38 translations.
Text 35. King Prithu worshipped the demigods, the great sages, the inhabitants of Pitraloka, the inhabitants of Gandharva Loka, and those of Siddhaloka. Karanaloka, Pannagaloka, Kinnaraloka, Apsaraloka, the earthly planets and the planets of the birds. He also worshipped many other living entities who presented themselves in the sacrificial arena. With folded hands, he worshipped all those as well as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the personal associates of the Lord by offering sweet words and as much wealth as possible. After this function, they all went back to their respective abodes, following the footsteps of Lord Vishnu. Text 37. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead, having captivated the minds of the king and the priests who were present, returned to his abode in the spiritual sky. Text 38. King Pruto then offered his respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Lord of all demigods, although not revealed himself in the offering obeisances to the Lord, the king returned to his home. Hare Krishna.
Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of 4th Canto, 20th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Lord Vishnu's Appearance in the Sacrificial Arena of Maharaj Prithu. Any questions, comments, realizations? So the first half of the chapter was slightly heavier than the second half.
Yeah, one reflection, Prabhu, in the purport that I read, how the devotee wants to serve the Lord birth after birth, and reference by Prabhupada by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sikshastakam.
Yeah, very good realization. So I'll give you spiritual endeavor questions. First is an analogy from 4.20.25. In our material existence, under the influence of illusory Maya, we have forgotten our eternal relationship with the Lord, exactly like a man sleeping very deeply forgets his duties. Second is, what did the Lord appreciate very much? Comes from verse number 34. And for next class, request if you can please read Canto 4, Chapter 21. All right, let's use the time for the previous class spiritual endeavor questions and any striking points, realizations, and inquiries from before.
Prabhuji, discharging one's occupational duty as a means of rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of life. Bhagavad Gita confirms this as a process of karma yoga. We should act only for the satisfaction and service of the Lord, Prabhuji. What
Yeah,
is
very
the
good.
king's
Continue.
third question? What is the king's real duty? To give protection to the general mass of the people who are citizens of the state is the real duty of a king. The royal duty of the head of the state is to see that the prajas or the general mass of people are doing their respective duties for spiritual salvation. The king's real duty is to see that the citizens become fully Krishna conscious. Krishna conscious means completely free from all sinful activities, Prabhuji.
Okay, very good. So the king is supposed to be Raj Rishi and see that citizens are not entangled in the material world. Okay, very good. Rest of you.
Prabhuji, how devotional service is very simple described. The devotional service is very simple. The only method for becoming perfect in life is to develop Krishna consciousness. One simply has to hear from the perfect source and follow the principles of practical application in life. Change is required. It is in conscious, not in the body. Without reference to shastras, never becomes a successful. This is what understanding I have.
Okay, very good. Correct points.
And the fifth one, can I go ahead, Prabhu?
Yeah.
How is the law pleased? Only by elevated character and behavior. When one is transcendental to all material qualities, all the good qualities automatically come out. This is how it is pleased.
All right, very good. So last class, Shalini had asked this question that how to understand Prithu Maharaj's activities because he is already Shakti Avesha Avatar. And the scriptural reference for the answer we discussed at our last class that Prithu Maharaj is teaching the world, the reference is 4.23.11 purport, the last paragraph. So let's read right now. I will bring up on screen. So we have 4.23.11. Last paragraph, it starts. The Gyanis and the Yogis. Aditi wants to read what is highlighted on screen.
Yes, Prabhuji. The Gyanis and Yogis may rise to the highest position, Brahman realization, but because of their lack of devotion unto the lotus feet of the Lord, they again fall down into material nature. Therefore, Jnana and Yoga should not be accepted as the real process for liberation. By discharging devotional service, Maharaja Prithu automatically transcended all these positions. Since Maharaja Prithu was a
Shakti Avesha.
Satyavesha, incarnation of the Supreme Lord, he did not have to act in any way to attain liberation. He came from the Vaikunta world or spiritual sky in order to execute the will of the Supreme Lord on earth. Consequently, he was to return home back to Godhead without having to execute jnana, yoga, or karma. Although Prithu Maharaja was eternally a pure devotee of the Lord, he nonetheless adopted the process of devotional service in order to teach the people in general the proper process of executing the duties of life and ultimately returning home back to the God. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, I won't start the next chapter now because maybe we won't finish much in the time we have. So we'll continue fresh from our next class. Are we okay to stop here?
Yes,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.